A wave of emotion swept through Houston, Texas, as mourners gathered at the packed Fountain of Praise Church to bid farewell to one of the most iconic figures in boxing history, George Foreman. The solemn ceremony was marked by heartfelt tributes, moving speeches, and a sea of faces: family, fans, former fighters, and dignitaries, who came together to celebrate a man whose life journey was as extraordinary as the thunderous punches he once delivered inside the squared circle. Pallbearers carried Foreman's casket, draped in a white cloth adorned with golden boxing gloves, while gospel music filled the sanctuary, echoing the spiritual transformation that had defined much of his later life. A giant photograph of Foreman in his signature preacher's suit, smiling with warmth and humility, stood at the altar, a powerful reminder that the man once known for his ferocity in the ring had become, in his later years, a symbol of redemption, resilience, and enduring kindness. George Foreman, who passed away at the age of 76, was more than just a heavyweight champion. He was a paradox, once feared for his raw, explosive power in the ring, and later adored for his warmth, wit, and charisma outside of it. His boxing legacy was forged through legendary clashes with the likes of Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, yet perhaps his most profound victory came years later, when he shocked the world by reclaiming the heavyweight crown at the age of 45. Foreman's life was a story of second chances, spiritual rebirth, and personal triumphs that transcended sports. A giant among giants, clashing with legends. To be considered among the greatest heavyweights in boxing history, it is often said a fighter must go toe-to-toe with the best of his generation. George Foreman not only fought them, he helped define them. Born in Marshall, Texas, on January 10, 1949, Foreman rose from a troubled childhood to become a towering force in the 1970s boxing scene. With unmatched punching power and a fearsome ring presence, he tore through the heavyweight ranks, earning a reputation as one of the most intimidating fighters of his era. In 1973, Foreman achieved immortality in Kingston, Jamaica, when he demolished the undefeated Joe Frazier in less than 2 rounds, knocking the former champion down 6 times. It was a brutal, dominant performance that crowned him the world heavyweight champion and sent shockwaves through the boxing world. Foreman, then 24 years old, appeared unstoppable. But the pinnacle of his early career also led to its most dramatic fall. The infamous Rumble in the Jungle in 1974 saw Foreman defending his title against the incomparable Muhammad Ali in Kinshasa, Zaire. Foreman entered the ring a heavy favorite. His power had dismantled Frazier and Ken Norton, 2 men who had given Ali trouble. Yet, on that fateful October night, Ali unveiled the now legendary rope-a-dope strategy. Absorbing Foreman's heavy blows while leaning back on the ropes, Ali waited until his opponent tired, then unleashed a flurry of precise punches in the 8th round, sending Foreman to the canvas and reclaiming the crown. The loss was humbling and defining. Despite a successful return, including another victory over Frazier and a bloody, memorable war with Ron Lyle, Foreman's heart was no longer fully in the fight. In 1977, following a points loss to Jimmy Young in San Juan, Puerto Rico, Foreman suffered a life-altering moment in the dressing room. He collapsed and claimed to have a near-death experience, seeing God and feeling compelled to change his life. He retired from boxing at age 28, devoted himself to Christianity, and became an ordained minister, preaching at the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ in Houston. The rebirth, from preacher to puncher once more. For the next decade, Foreman seemed content. He ministered in Texas, opened a youth center, and faded from the public's sporting consciousness. Yet financial troubles began to surface in the 1980s, prompting a most unlikely return to the sport that had once brought him fame and pain. In 1987, a rounder, slower, but disarmingly jovial George Foreman laced up the gloves once more. The transformation was more than physical. Gone was the menacing scowl. In its place was a radiant smile and affable persona that captivated a new generation. Critics called it a circus act. Commentators dismissed it as a gimmick. But Foreman, now a family man and preacher, was serious about boxing, and even more serious about proving that age is just a number. What began as a curiosity soon became a legitimate comeback. Foreman racked up wins, mostly against journeymen, but he kept fighting, and with every victory, skepticism began to fade. He earned a shot at the undisputed champion Evander Holyfield in 1991. Though he lost a unanimous decision, Foreman's performance stunned the world. At 42, he had gone the distance with the much younger and highly skilled Holyfield, and had even landed some dangerous shots along the way. Still, his title dreams seemed to fade again in 1993 after a discouraging loss to Tommy Morrison, who easily outpointed him. Foreman, then nearing 45, looked spent, but George Foreman's story was never one of giving up. The impossible dream. A night to remember in Las Vegas. On November 5, 1994, George Foreman stepped into the ring in Las Vegas to face Michael Moore, the undefeated WBA and IBF heavyweight champion. Moore was 19 years younger, faster, and on a hot streak. Foreman, clad in red trunks reminiscent of his 1973 win over Frazier, entered the bout as a 3-1 underdog. For 9 rounds, Moore boxed smartly, using his speed to control the fight and build a commanding lead on the scorecards. Foreman's punches looked slow and labored, his chances slim, but his longtime trainer, the legendary Angelo Dundee, who had cornered Ali in the Rumble in the Jungle, implored Foreman to go for broke. In the 10th round, Foreman found his moment. A crushing right hand followed by a straight left sent Moore crashing to the canvas. The crowd erupted as the referee counted to 10. George Foreman, just 2 months shy of his 46th birthday, was the new heavyweight champion of the world. He dropped to his knees and prayed, overwhelmed by emotion and disbelief. It was the most improbable comeback in sports history. Beyond the ring, reinvention and legacy. Following his miraculous win, Foreman became a cultural phenomenon. No longer just a boxing legend, he was now an endearing TV personality and wildly successful entrepreneur. He turned his newfound popularity into a financial empire, most notably with the George Foreman lean, mean, fat-reducing grilling machine. The product, which began as a simple endorsement, became a global sensation, earning Foreman an estimated $200 million, far more than he ever made in boxing. He also became a familiar face on television, serving as a boxing analyst for HBO for over a decade. His warm demeanor, booming laugh, and spiritual reflections made him a fan favorite all over again. Foreman had become a symbol of positivity and second chances, embodying the idea that redemption is always within reach. He officially retired from boxing in 1997 at the age of 48, ending his career with a remarkable record: 81 fights, 76 wins, 68 by knockout, and only 5 defeats. Many regard him as the hardest-punching heavyweight of all time, a true titan whose power and will could not be denied. Humble beginnings and a powerful journey. Foreman's journey began in poverty. Born in East Texas and raised in Houston's tough Fifth Ward, he was one of 7 children. Though his biological father was Leroy Moorhead, he took the name of his stepfather, J.D. Foreman, a railroad worker. Foreman later described himself as a troubled youth, violent and directionless, who turned his life around after being introduced to boxing at age 16. Within 3 years, he had captured gold at the 1968 Mexico City Olympics, waving a tiny American flag after defeating Ioannis Chepoulas of the Soviet Union. That moment of triumph set the stage for a pro career that would make him a global superstar. Despite his fame and fortune, Foreman remained deeply rooted in his community. He never strayed far from Houston, where he built a 300-acre ranch filled with horses, dogs, and classic cars, his great passions outside the ring. He was also a devoted family man. With his 5th wife, Mary Joan Martelli, whom he married in 1985, he raised a large family: 6 daughters, Natalie, Leola, Michi, Georgetta, Isabella, and Courtney, and 5 sons, all named George, a quirky testament to his deep sense of legacy. He once joked, "If you're going to name your kids after anyone, it might as well be yourself." Tragedy touched his life too. His daughter Frida, who briefly followed him into boxing, died in 2019. But through personal heartbreaks and public glory, Foreman remained steadfast in his faith and hopeful in his outlook. The final bell. George Foreman's passing marks the end of an era, not only for